Before I get started here, I just wanted to point out to everyone that it's been a few months since I first started this playthrough now. And while to you, the viewers, it's only been a week or so since I uploaded the last part of this playthrough, it's been quite a bit longer for me since I last recorded anything on it. The reason I felt that was worth pointing out is because there have been comments I haven't been able to address in my commentary up to this point. So for those who have commented and felt like I was ignoring them because their comment wasn't addressed or acknowledged, I'm just letting you know that wasn't the case. From this point on, I'm going to try and limit the time spent on each recording session for this playthrough. I'm thinking of limiting it to around 45 minutes at a time. This way, I'll only have 2 parts to edit and upload between being able to address certain comments that may be left, or make some slight adjustments to how I approach certain things if necessary. I think it was in part 11 of this playthrough that I mentioned a couple of things in regards to the direction of my channel, which brings me to what I've been doing for the last few weeks. I've been working towards getting myself set up to start a number of different games, which I won't give away any details on just yet, but I will say that I'm working towards putting together a trailer of sorts that contains gameplay footage from a few different games, and whichever is the most popular will be the one I either do a playthrough on or work on some kind of challenge for. Now, I'm not sure how long it will be before I get this gameplay trailer done, but I'm estimating somewhere around the time frame of about 2 weeks, give or take a couple of days or so. Sorry about that. I had to take an important call in regards to my car insurance, which is always fun to organise. I was told that they'd ring back later today, so I should be able to get through the rest of this uninterrupted. I actually stopped the recording before taking the call, and when I came back I started progressing through again. Luckily I didn't get too far before I noticed it, but that's why I have a few extra souls now, in case you're wondering. Getting back to the topic of the plans I have for my channel, I've noticed that I'm closing in on the 1 million views milestone, and even though I never got around to uploading any sort of video specials for a number of subscribers or videos uploaded, a 1 million view milestone seems like as good a reason as any to upload a video special. So I've been thinking about what I could do for that. Most likely I'll probably end up doing a Q&A. Whether the questions are asked in the comment section on YouTube, through Skype, or even on Twitter, I'll try to cover as many of the more frequently asked questions as I can, as well as some questions that strike me as being particularly interesting. Feel free to ask any and as many questions as you like, so when the time comes for the 1 million views special, I'll have more questions to choose from to give an answer to. Speaking of Twitter, I really need to start putting out some updates on that, because at the moment it's only serving as a YouTube feed. I'm going to make a conscious effort of getting into the habit of posting updates through there for whatever it is I'm up to at the time. So if I plan to do a day-long Dark Souls PvP session somewhere, you'll be able to see that through my Twitter. I know I'm not saying much in regards to Dark Souls at the moment, but as I mentioned before, it's been quite some time since I last recorded anything on this playthrough. So I'm trying to cover as many of those things as I possibly can right now that I wasn't able to talk about before. One thing I've been trying to get organised in the past couple of days is getting a group of players together to join the ranks of Forest Guardian Hunters, which is basically just someone who joins the Forest Hunter Covenant in the hopes that we'll be able to help each other out. There aren't any restrictions on the type of build needed for this, so if someone wants to use a Faith or Intelligence build, they can. The only requirement set for this is the armor that must be used, and this is so that should any one of us be lucky enough to invade the same host in the forest, we'll be able to recognize them. The whole point to all of this? Well, it's just for a bit of fun, really. Anyway, the armor that must be worn for this is the Elite Knight Helm, Wanderer Coat, Guardian Gauntlets, and Guardian Leggings. There aren't any set times as of yet for when this will take place, mainly because I'm still trying to get people to participate. If the number of players reaches 20 or so, or more, then it might be worth looking at some set times for when we'll hit the forest. With that said, I did consider a full Guardian cosplay for all of about 2 minutes, but because of how limited the setup would be, I scrapped the idea and chose to go with an armor setup that I used quite often in PvP several months back as the only requirement instead. Let's see, what else was there that I wanted to mention? That's right, microphone. I've been using a Turtle Beach P11 gaming headset for my commentary, and while it has been possible to get a fairly clean sound out of the recording, it's only because of the amount of time I put into editing out all of the background noises. I purchased a Blue Snowball microphone a few weeks ago, along with a pop filter, but the stand on the filter just didn't work with my current recording setup, so I bought a second pop filter that will work with my recording setup, and I'm just waiting for it to arrive, which should be any day now. Until then, I just have to settle with using the P11 to record, which I was trying to avoid doing, but if I left recording this part for any longer than it already has been, then there's a good chance that I wouldn't be doing this for another few days or so. Well, that was Smo taken care of relatively easily. After I'm finished with this boss fight, I'll grab the Lord Vessel from Guinevere, then stop recording for a few minutes so I can go and farm a Silver Knight Shield. There are a couple of reasons I want a Silver Knight Shield. One is because of the 100% physical damage reduction and stability. The other is because of the elemental defenses it offers. It'll also come in handy for the Bed of Chaos boss fight, because what I usually do is equip the Silver Knight Shield in the right hand, while having the Grass Crest Shield equipped in the left. This way I can block those sweeping attacks with a more stable shield in two hands, while still having stamina regeneration active. You'll see what I mean when I get to that part though. Something I forgot to mention in the last parts of this playthrough was in regards to going through the DLC areas. I will be clearing out the DLC as well, however, I'm not sure whereabouts I want to slot that into this playthrough. Which isn't a problem, because as I mentioned earlier, I'll only be recording for about 45 minutes at a time before editing and uploading parts of this playthrough. So if I want to change when I want to do something, it's not going to be a drama. At this point I'm thinking I could either leave the DLC until I've opened up the Kiln of the First Flame and cleared all of the main game's optional areas, or wait until New Game Plus and add the entire DLC in as one video at the end. Kind of like a bonus video for the end of the playthrough. Whichever way I decide to go about it, at least you all know now that I do have plans to clear the DLC areas. Alright, that's Anor Londo pretty much done now. I'll obtain the Lord Vessel, farm for a Silver Knight Shield, and then I'll be on my way to the Undead Parish. From there, I'll kill the Hydra and rescue Dusk. That way, if I do decide to clear the DLC before the Kiln, I'll already have met the requirements to access the DLC.
That, oh chosen undead, and
Okay, so I'm just gonna stop recording here for a minute while I get that Silver Knight Shield. And now I need to make my way to the Undead Parish. So as soon as I've dealt with the Hydra and rescued Dusk, I might stop there for half an hour or so and see if I have any luck with farming a slab for my composite bow. After doing that, then the next stops for this playthrough will be Civ, and then the Four Kings, so I can place the Lord Vessel with Karth and join the Dark Wraith Covenant. Going by a rough estimate of how long I've been recording for so far, I probably won't be able to fit the Sith and Four Kings boss fight into a 20 to 25 minute segment, so more likely than not, those bosses will come in a separate part. Which works for me, because if I'm going to be farming Dark Wraiths before I continue recording, it will give me a chance to work out a couple of details on what else I want to add into this playthrough. And by that, what I'm referring to is whether I'm just going to be collecting all of the pyromancies, or whether I'll go for all sorceries and miracles as well. The reason I've been considering all sorceries and miracles as well as pyromancies is because there are a few things I could use with this character when it's finished. Namely the Gravelord's Sword, the Big Hat armor set, and the Prayer Gesture. Although it'd be easy enough to get someone to trade the Gravelord's Sword and Big Hat armor set with me, so I don't have to obtain the Gravelord Covenant miracles or Logan's sorceries, the Prayer Gesture can't be obtained as a pyromancer without obtaining the replenishment miracle first. Which for some might be all well and good to obtain just the one miracle that can't be used, but I've been known to be quite pedantic about these sorts of things, which is probably an early onset of OCD that I haven't been diagnosed for or something. Anyway, I'll just go over what I think were some of the more important points. There's the gameplay trailer for the next game I'll do a playthrough or challenge run on. And although I won't be naming the games that I'm considering, I can name a couple of games on the Sega Mega Drive that I thought about, but can't do at the moment because I don't have a working controller. Those were Landstalker and Soleil. Soleil was released with the title Crusader of Senti in the US, as I recall. There's the 1 million view special coming up, and as I mentioned, whether the questions come in comments or personal messages on YouTube, through Skype, or on Twitter, I'll be sure to read through and take note of them all. There was also the updates on Twitter that I'm going to try and remember to start doing. So if you're following this playthrough, or just my channel in general, it might be a good idea to follow me on Twitter too. I got back into playing Bioshock 2 a couple of weeks ago, among a few other games, which would probably be handy for you to know as it happens. Then there was the Forest Guardian Hunter effort, which is one thing that I'm particularly looking forward to. Unfortunately, the only platform I'd be able to see any results on is the PS3. I did download Dark Souls from Steam a few weeks ago, but I spent all of 10 minutes playing before I went back to my PS3 saves. So it's the gameplay trailer, the 1 million views special, the Twitter updates, and the Forest Guardian Hunter effort. And I think that just about covers the more important points. With that, I think I'll leave the commentary here, because after I'm done in this area, I'll be stopping the recording so I can farm a slab or two before moving on in this playthrough. One last thing though. Little Johnny is at school one day, and the teacher asks him what he did over the weekend. Little Johnny tells his teacher, "I spent all weekend blowing up frogs by sticking firecrackers up their asses." The teacher corrects him, "Rectum, Johnny, rectum." To which Little Johnny replies, "Bloody oath it rectum, miss. It blew the shit out of them."
My If thou art in